A cold air intake is an easy mod to get some better performance for your truck, and if you're looking for some of that bolt-on function for your 2007 to 2021 5.7 liter Toyota Tundra, this S&B Cold Air Intake with the Dry Extendable Cotton Filter is a great option to consider for it. Now this intake is a closed air box system with a dry filter, making it a great choice for the Tundra owner who is searching for extra filter protection out of a cold air intake and good filtration with a high flow design. Great for day-to-day driving, the work site, or even tougher trail riding, especially with that protective aspect. Now the design is also a hassle-free maintenance choice if you are tough on your truck and want a reusable option that you're not going to have to worry about swapping as frequently as the factory one or taking additional steps compared to an oiled choice if you're looking for a low maintenance intake option for your Tundra. Now the sporty look and the premium design are also great takeaways from this system if you want an intake that you can rely on when it comes to the quality of the build. Now S&B states that this has about a 50% airflow improvement over the factory system for less air restriction and less turbulence, directing more air into the manifold, which in turn is going to give your truck a little boost in performance, especially when paired with other mods. Now there are a couple reasons for that, first being the large high flow filter, the larger intake tube, and this also has the option to open up the airbox for maximum airflow. This does come with a box plug here that you get the choice of installing if you want a little bit more protection, or uninstalling and keeping it off of the side of this box if you want all of that airflow getting to the filter. Now while this is a high flow filter, it is going to provide a lot of good filtration. It simultaneously catches all of those small contaminants and that small debris that does get into the airbox, and the housing itself helps shield the filter from water, heat, and other larger contaminants that could sneak up under the hood depending on how tough you are on your truck. And the housing also comes with a snap-in sight window for the top, making the filter very easy to keep an eye on, and also to access it with the hardware-less design if you do need to pop it out and clean it every so often. Along with the maintenance aspect, it just adds a premium look underneath the hood with the sleek appearance and the S&B branding. Breaking the system down, the housing and the intake tube are made of a heat-resistant cross-linked plastic construction, which is durable to hold up underneath the engine bay, especially to hot engine bay air, and keep all of that away from the filter itself. And the housing and tube are connected to the truck and together with premium seals and silicone couplers that are all resistant up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and they are very flexible for good fitment. And the sight window is also made of a clear polycarbonate plastic construction and covers up the 8-layer cotton gauze filter underneath. This also comes with all the odds and ends needed for the install, all of the fittings and everything that you will need, and doesn't require a tune in order to install it. Now this is about $400, being one of the more pricey systems, but it is also one of the intakes that comes with those additional bells and whistles that you would want or expect out of a premium choice. Now a few of those being the hardware-less sight window, the high quality materials that this uses, the low maintenance high flow filter, making it a very well-rounded system. It also comes with the option on if you want more protection, less protection, more airflow or less airflow with this box plug here, which allows you to kind of control what you're looking for out of your system at that time, and you can switch it and customize it as you see fit. Now if you're looking for a well-rounded system and one that you can rely on for your Tundra, then this is a great option to consider. Now install here is a lighter 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and it should take about an hour or so to install. Now at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our installers. They're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how you can install this on your Tundra at home. So that wraps it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get to the install.
For this install, you will need an impact, 8 and 10 millimeter sockets, a long extension, a Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of snips, and a pair of pliers. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing an intake on our Tacoma, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory setup, and we'll see you when you get back.
Step number 1 guys, of course, pop your hood. We're going to pop our engine cover off. Just lift straight up and set it aside. Next step, let's disconnect our factory sensor here. You're just going to pinch and disconnect that factory harness. Now as you can see, there is a retainer clip here, so we're going to pop that guy off. If you need to, you can grab a panel tool, so let's do that. All right, with the panel removal tool, we'll be able to easily pop that guy off. Next, let's disconnect our two hoses here. We have one with a hose clamp and one smaller one. Now what you want to do for these hoses is pinch this hose clamp, and we're going to shuffle it back and off of that fitting, and then pull the hose straight back. For this little guy, we're just going to pull straight off, just like that. Next, let's loosen up the clamp on our throttle body, connecting it to the tubing. Grab a 10 socket and loosen that guy up. Next, we have two 10mm bolts holding on our factory heat shield to the engine bay. We have one 10 right down here, and then on the opposite corner of the intake, which you can't see from here. We'll get that off in a second. Let's start here with this one. I'm gonna use a longer extension on my impact and get the 10 off. All right, now you don't have to pull it all the way off, because obviously you can see it has this retainer washer. You just wanna make sure it's loose, and then repeat that for the other one on the other corner. Opposite corner, same thing. Next, you're just going to pop the entire factory intake off, starting at the throttle body, and then feed that guy out.
Alrighty folks, welcome back. Now that we have our factory intake off, we're going to need to snag off our air sensor from our intake tube to swap it over to our new setup. So we're going to grab a Phillips head screwdriver and remove the two screws holding it in. Then we'll just carefully pull that out and set it aside so we can install it into our new intake tube. Now that we've got these loose, we'll remove our screws. And again, very carefully pull this out of our intake tube and set it aside. So now we've got our new intake tube, and we're going to set our spacer and gasket in, and then our air sensor itself. The gasket is going to go under the sensor, or the spacer rather. Now we've got our gasket and our spacer. What we're going to do is get our sensor through both of those first. Keep these lined up. And we're going to slide this into our intake tube very carefully. Now we can install our provided Phillips head screws. We'll get them both started. And we'll take our screwdriver and tighten these down. Now once your first screw starts to get snug, you want to come back to your other one. So our next step is going to be installing our grommet and adapter into our smaller hole on our intake tube next to our larger nipple. So we're going to slot this in. You kind of have to just pop it in one side at a time and work it through. And once you've got this pushed through, you want to reach into your intake tube. Just make sure it's fully seated on the inner portion. Kind of just pull the tabs out all the way around. And once we have that in, we're going to take our adapter, and the larger end of it is going to go into the intake tube. So you'll kind of have to hold your grommet from the inside at first. And just carefully work this in. You don't want to push your whole grommet through. Just want the adapter portion to go through. And once that seats, it'll be nice and flush. Next, we're going to grab our provided PCV extension hose, and we're going to install our adapter barb into one end of it. They're both the same, so it doesn't matter which end. Just want to seat this in about midway through. And then the clamp for this is going to be our factory clamp from our original PCV hose. All right, so now that we have our intake tube and PCV adapter set up, we're going to grab our air box. And the first thing we're going to do with this is come to the bottom side where we have our mounting holes. Now these two larger holes here, we're going to install our provided grommets into first. So just like with the other one on our intake tube, just going to push this in. You just want to work it around so we can get the whole thing through. And then again, once you have it in, you want to make sure it's seated nice on both sides. And once we have our first one in, you can do the same thing for the other large hole on the bottom of your intake box. Now, for the remaining bolt hole, we're going to grab one of our provided bolts and flat washers. We're also going to grab our provided spacer. So the bolt is going to go through the inside of the air box to this hole. And once you get that through, you want to install your provided spacer. Now this is kind of tough to hold by hand, but once you get that started on your threads, you can grab your 10 mil socket and extension. We're going to run this in to our air box and just hold our spacer. Try to get it straight. And we'll run this into our spacer. Then you'll know that'll kind of tighten up once it's all the way through. All right, so now that we have our grommets in and our adapter bolt, we're going to install our seal for our intake tube. So we've got our seal. We're going to line this up. Now this one, you kind of have to line up the angle of your oval. It's not quite a circle. We'll just work this around from one edge. Now try not to pinch or crease it while you're putting it on. And then it should sit quite nicely once it seats. Next, we're going to install our fender seal onto our air box. So that's going to go onto this port here. Just push that all the way in. Make sure that seats nice and flush. It does have a lip around the inner edge where it's supposed to seat. You just want to make sure that's nice and even. Next, we're going to install our other optional seal. Now, this one, if you're looking for maximum airflow, you do not have to install this. We're going to show you how to do it just in case you do want to, if you want the more traditional amount of airflow just with a better filter. But again, if you're looking for max airflow, you do not have to install this seal. We'll get this in place. Again, this one is purely optional and up to you based on the airflow amount that you wish. Now we're over to our truck and we're going to install our air box. So we're going to line our 3 holes up with those factory mounting holes. So we're going to set this in place. You also want to line up your fender seal. So now, along with that bolt and spacer that we already installed into our air box, we're going to install our other 2 provided bolts into the factory mounting locations. Now when doing this at home, you do want to add some of the provided thread locker to these bolts to keep them in place. Ours is not going to be permanent, so we're not going to add thread locker, but you definitely want to add this at home. So what we're going to do is take our 2 provided 10mm bolts with flat washers, get those through our grommets and into our factory mounting locations. We'll grab our 10mm socket and tighten those down. So now we'll get our first bolt and washer in this back corner. We'll get that started. We'll run this down a bit. We're not going to fully tighten it just yet. And then we've got our 10mm socket and extension. Then we can repeat this process for our other 2 bolts and we'll come back and tighten them down. Now once you have all 3 of your bolts in, we'll come back and tighten them all down. Once you've tightened your first one, you want to do the same thing for the other 2 bolts. Now we can install our PCV adapter hose into our factory section of hose. So the barb section that we added in is going to go right into there. We'll get this fully inserted. We'll bring our factory clamp up. We're going to keep it on the factory side of the hose because since this is barb, this doesn't really need a clamp on this side. Next, we're going to install our adapter coupler onto our throttle body. So the smaller end is going to go onto the throttle body. The larger end is going to point towards our new air box. So we've got our smaller of our two couplers clamps, and we're going to slide that on. We'll get this onto our throttle body. Make sure that seats fully. Want your clamp to be on nice and straight. You also want to have your clamp in an accessible position where you can tighten everything down. Now once we have that on, we're going to add in our larger clamp. We're not going to tighten these just yet, you just want them in place first. Now we're going to grab our new intake tube and we're going to send it through our air box, through the opening, and get it in position on our throttle body, as well as all of our hoses and everything like that. Now we'll slide this in. You want to be careful of your fittings and your sensor. Get this through. Line this up with our throttle body. And pop that into place. And you want to make sure this is sitting evenly on your airbox seal. Now we can grab our 8mm socket and tighten down our two clamps for our adapter coupler. Make sure they're sitting how we want them to, not pinching anything. Next, we're going to plug in our sensor. We're going to get our small vacuum line on. And you want to be careful with that. You don't want to push the grommet through. And we'll get our PCV adapter on. Now we are going to install a clamp on this side because this side is not barbed. So you want to slide that onto your hose. Get that onto our fitting. And once again, we'll take our 8mm socket, tighten this down. Now we can install our filter. You want to make sure your provided clamp is on the filter first. Get this in position. Seat that onto our intake tube. And we can grab our 8mm socket once more. We'll tighten this clamp down. Now once we have our filter on, we can install our cover. Just going to slide this in. I'm going to get a corner started. Kind of gently push it into place. Now lastly, we can reinstall our engine beauty cover. So you want to send it in, hook it over its rear positioners, and pop it back into place. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our S&B Cold Air Intake with Dry Extendable Filter for your 07 to 21 5.7 liter Tundra. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Tundra, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.